Hey everyone, Jessica here with another layout for Bramble Fox. Today I'm using these acrylic pieces called Autumn Board Fetty and Skeleton Leaves, these stencils called Travel Stitches and Office Borders, and paper snips number 25. So I'm going to start this layout off with 3 photos from fall here of pumpkin carving with my son, and I'm just going to lay all 3 of these onto a white sheet of smooth cardstock and go ahead and mat those. So I've cut them out with my cutting mat over here beside me, my cutting blade, and I'm just ripping off a section of this beautiful paper by Cocoa Vanilla Studio. This is one of their collections that I've just used and absolutely still love it. So I'm using this today, and I'm just roughing up the edges of a couple of these strips that I've torn off. And originally I was going to lay them out on the side, but the way that my photos are with the pumpkin, there was more kind of space on the right sides of these photos, and I wanted to keep him on the left side, so I didn't really want to cover him up or anything, so I ended up moving this to the right side of my page. So I thought that they needed to have a little something extra behind them, so I'm going to do a double mat on these with some craft paper. So I've went ahead and cut that out, just attaching the layers together with my little Thermoweb Memory XL tape runner. And I'm just going to stagger these photos. I'm going to tilt them a little bit, and that's basically where I'm going to place them, but I still feel like it's missing something behind the photos, so I'm going to go ahead and add another layer behind it, and I'm going to do some stenciling. So I'm pulling out the office border stencil and this beautiful yellow pattern paper, which I've cut down so it'll fit beautifully behind my photos, and I'm going to rough up the edges with my edge distresser so that part will peek through around my photos. So I'll just go ahead and tuck that in behind my photos for now, and then I just want to get a feel for where I want my border to go. Originally I had cut a couple of these film strips out. There's a die in the shop for this, or it might be sold out at the moment, but I think there was some talk about it possibly coming back in the future. So I was going to use these film strips on here, but then I opted out and I actually took them off and I didn't use them at all. So right now I'm just lining everything up. I'm taping this stencil down with some pixie tape, and I'm just going to use some, I think I settle on Fossilized Amber to match that yellowish color in the collection. So I'm just going to blend some of that on to the stencil with my blending brush here, and then just peel the stencil off, and I'm going to go wash that right now. So that's all nice and clean, and then I have this beautiful little border strip that's going to just hang out behind my photos and behind that other paper. So I'm still trying to make this little film strip work. I really wanted to tuck it in there, but I couldn't get it to look right no matter how I placed it behind there, and I didn't want to take too much away from my photos. I want to enhance them, so I opted out of using it. So I'm going to go ahead and tape down my photos here. I know that that's where I want them to go. They're not going to move around or anything, so I'm going to go ahead and tape that down. This pattern piece of paper, I did have a little bit of a boo-boo with it. I taped it down using some Thermoweb Easy Tear tape, which is extremely sticky. Pretty much wherever you put that down, it's not going to move without tearing up your paper. But I put it down here on my page too far away from my border, and see that little white space in there? I didn't like that, so I'm going to go ahead and peel this up and just move it over a little bit. It did tear up my paper a little bit, but I'm not concerned about it because you're never going to see it anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with my border strip over here on the right side. Go ahead and peel my backings off of my tape and place that down. I know that's exactly where I want it to go, and I'm going to build on top of that. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down. Still trying to make this little film strip work. There it comes back in the frame. I'm trying to tuck it back in behind my photos. I'm like, no, I just don't like it. So I'm going to pull out these Perspextives, and I'm going to use some of these fall ones. This is going to be my title piece here. It's small for my typical titles, but I'm going to use that because it says pumpkin season on it. So I thought that was just perfect for these photos of my son and our pumpkin carving. So these photos are actually from last year. We haven't actually done our pumpkin carving yet this year, so we have to get that. I know we have pumpkins. We just picked some up the other day, so they're all ready to go. We just actually need to do it. So I'm grabbing my die from the shop. I'm going to go ahead and cut out the circles from this paper snip sheet number 25, I believe it is, and I'm going to actually fussy cut out some of the elements on here as well while I'm at it. So there's my circles. They're all cut out. I ran them through my Big Shot machine, and I felt like I needed some interest, kind of like a little arrow over here pointing to the pictures and my title. So I'm going to make a little notch here in my paper and fold back these sections, and then I'm going to add some more of that beautiful pattern paper here to match the other side. And then I'm going to add a few elements on here just to draw the attention over towards my little title piece since it's small. And I'm going to do some more fussy cutting here and add some of these little bits to that section up there. So as you can see, I've done my fussy cutting now, and I have all of those little elements lined up over there on the side, and I'm actually using all 5 of the circle elements from these paper snips, and I'm going to make them into little flare epoxy buttons. So I grabbed some of those epoxy stickers to add onto them and a little bit later in this layout, and I'm just continuing to fussy cut some of the other elements from the paper snips. I'm going to add those onto my layout as well. And you can see that I cut out a whole bunch of those little title pieces, or just wordy bits as I like to call them, and I stuck those right underneath my title pumpkin. It says pumpkin season, and kept that kind of towards the middle photo there. So I'm just cleaning up my scraps here, making a little bit of room on here. I want to do a little bit of stamping with some crackling Campfire Distress Oxide. And I love this stamp set from the shop. It's one of the grungier ones. It looks like paint splatters. So I've grabbed that, and I'm going to add a couple little paint splotches to my layout. And there's a couple different ones in here that I like playing along with. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp a couple different kinds. So I'm just seeing what else I want to use on here. I like this other little splotch, so I'm going to use that one down at the bottom there. And it looks like I dropped a whole bunch of things. I must have bumped this or moved or stepped aside or away or something and came back, because things are moving very rapidly on my desk in this video. So here I am going to do a little bit more stenciling. Again, I want to draw the focus towards my little title piece since it's so small. So I'm pulling out that stencil that's called the other one was Office Borders. This one's Travel Stitches. So again, I've taped it off with some pixie tape. I'm just using another blending brush with some blue. This is the Uncharted Mariner shade. So I am just taping off that little arrow to finish this off. I've blended that on there. It looks so cute. I just absolutely love it, and it just points perfectly to that little title bit. I'm going to go ahead and staple that little flap down because my camera didn't want to sit on there right, so I'll probably go back and staple the other side too. So just moving things aside here, trying to clean up my desk a little bit, just making sure everything is where I want it to be. And I'm going to throw a little label in here shortly. Add some little plus signs in a couple different places just for some variation in my stamping here. And that's from the Elle Studio. I think it's called the Thankful set. And it's one of their fall ones from last year, I think it was. But it's been one of my favorites. So here I'm pulling out some tissue paper. I just cut a strip of tissue paper. I'm just folding it back and forth to kind of create like a fringed edge. And then I'm just going to tuck this in behind my photo up here because I thought it needed a little something, a little border or something along the edge of that photo. So I've just added some Nuvo glue in behind there. I'm just going to tuck that right in there, and that's how it's going to stay. I like that it's just roughly and it's just kind of random. And I just love the way that it looks, so I'm going to keep that right there. So I'm going to do a little bit more stamping here. I've pulled out my Elle Studio stamp set Autumn tabs, and I'm going to make a little tag for, I was originally going to tuck it into those layers in the side border pieces, but I ended up moving it after it's done, and I'm going to put that actually on top of my photos because it looked a lot better up there. So I'm just stamping a couple things here. I'm going to stamp pumpkin carving on this. It's from that Autumn Tab stamp set. It's just perfect for this. It's what we're doing. So I'm going to stamp that, and then I'll stamp my date stamp here with my Paige Evans roller date stamp in this beautiful fossilized amber shade. And I'm just going to fussy cut this out, and there's my little tag. But that's where I try to make it work right there, but I thought it just kind of looked odd over there by itself, so I'm going to put it right there at the top. And then to finish this one up, I'm just going to add a few more things here. I'm going to go ahead and start sticking everything down, alternating between some glue dots and some foam squares, and of course my Nuvo glue for the acrylics. And yeah, just gonna get everything stuck down, and I'm gonna tuck some thread in behind my flare buttons. there's my finished layouts. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this process today, and I will link everything below down in the description in case you want to grab anything from the shop. And thank you guys so much for being here, and I hope I've inspired you to create something beautiful. Bye bye.